Last year we had a meeting in Trumbull County. The Trumbull County commissioners had the meeting because they wanted to raise taxes in the county. So they had several department heads come in and explain why we needed to raise taxes. So I was with about 6 or 7 ministers. We went to hear the presentation. And I was sitting there and got a surprise. The coroner, the doctor, he stood up and he said something that caught my attention. He said, look, here in Trumbull County, for every 10 people dying of a heroin overdose, 9 of them are Caucasians. Well, when we got outside the meeting, a couple of the ministers come up and said, well, Fred, why would he say that? And I said, here's what he's telling you. Several years we've had a crack epidemic, the crack cocaine. It was decimating the African-American community. Nobody really cared. Okay, you didn't hear all this fuss. They lock them up, put them in jail, whatever, you know, the crackheads. I said the reason why he said that, he was letting that audience know that this is a problem with white kids. White kids are dying, so we better do something about this. That was his way of saying it in code. I said because there was 6 or 7 black ministers sitting there, he couldn't come out and say it the way he wanted to say it. So he was telling the white people in the audience in code, these are your children dying, so we better do something about this. As far as that cocaine epidemic, a heroin epidemic, I sat down and I talked to a doctor and I said, why all of a sudden, where did this heroin, why did this heroin pop up? I mean, it just came all of a sudden. It was crack cocaine, now all I hear about is heroin. I see young white kids. Why is this predominantly among young white kids, this heroin? He said, Fred, you know who's to blame? He said, it's people like me, doctors. We're the ones who blame for this because heroin is synthetic Oxycontin, which is a painkiller. He said, so doctors overprescribe. People go to the doctor, they give them painkillers, and he said after 2 or 3 months, they take them off, and these people are addicted. Well, they get their high from out on the street, heroin. And I said, okay, he said, that's where it comes from. But it's primarily a Caucasian problem, not an African-American problem. Now, all of a sudden, we got all kind of programs. We got money for addiction, and Senator Portman, who's a friend of mine, he pushed this thing through the senator here in the state of Ohio, that we got to have more money to fight this. Where was this at when crack cocaine was taking over the black community? I didn't hear all this. All I heard was put them in jail, put them in jail. You see, but I didn't hear anything about cures or anything else. So that's why I have a problem with the situation that we're having now with heroin.